Okay, so let's shift gears and talk about the Norwood Nanny Chronicles. So, characters and how they resonate with you in this series. And remember, you've got the sneak peek of book two, which most
Yeah,
people don't
so
have
I'm
yet.
gonna yeah. I'm gonna stay with the ones that everybody will know at first. So I I really liked how you set up the kids at school and how they get to the school. And the assumptions that we make about the kids starting on in your first book, The Agency, where you have no idea really what's going on and you're like, well, these people are really weird, and then you figure out what's going on. So I think that the way that you've developed them, you kind of each have a favorite and you want to be cheering them on. But I think what was so interesting about Shusmita is I mean, she just continues to be a surprise to me, including her backstory. And in fact, I ended up going to look at a bunch of Indian history because I was like I was like, Monica, what have you created here? And so part of my back to my beta reader role, like part of what I did with that was say, is this actually believable? Give me some examples of how this person would have developed this way. And then I was like, oh, that's actually really cool. And then Dash is fascinating to me because at first I'm like, oh, he's just like a totally spoiled schoolboy, and there's nothing really interesting. He's kind of a throwaway character, but I mean, he's cute, he's interesting. In high school, I probably would have wanted to date him, but how is he going to change this story? And you trick us through the whole first book. You trick us into having an opinion of these characters, and then you slowly reveal them. And you reveal them in ways that I think are really interesting because some are shocking, some are not, but they work. There's no disbelief in where these characters came from and where they're going, and it makes perfect sense. And I think those building blocks are really sort of what you've moved forward in your writing from the first series to um, the Norwood Chronicles.
Yeah. So you mentioned something that has been a big focus in this series, which is the interweaving of some pretty deep historical themes. Um, how did that strike you as a reader? Because I'll tell you, I was a little bit um, afraid. Afraid is not quite the right word, but I was a little bit unsure if I'd be able to pull that off without alienating people who didn't care so much about political history. So talk about that a little bit.
I so You were talking about different sort of political histories that I heretofore really had no interest in, or I mean, I knew of them, but wasn't all that deep into them. So for me, what was interesting is it it spurred a whole nother side to the book of like, oh, I'm gonna go dig deep into this. But I think the person who's not interested in those and is gonna read these books, it's added background, but it's not a detractor from the story. For me, I think like I almost see another guide that goes along with this book for people reading it in schools to say, by the way, if you'd like to know about this period of world history, you can go here. But for the person who's not interested in that, it's not an obstacle, right? I think it adds richness to the character, but it's not distracting.
Yeah, that's a great idea about the reader's guide for school. I mean, we did that with the first series,
You
so I'm
did.
gonna make a note of that, follow up on that. I think that's a great suggestion.